All right, good morning and welcome to the special board meeting of the Indian Wells Valley Water District for Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. And we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 8 a.m. Director Kaczynski, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Please follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And let's go for the roll call, please.
President St. Amand.
Present.
Vice President Griffin.
Here.
Director Boyd. Director Kaczynski.
Here.
Oratora.
All right, that's 3 present that we have enough for a quorum. Posting of the agenda declaration, please.
The agenda for today's special board meeting was posted on Thursday, May 22nd, 2025.
Very good. The record show that Director Rotora has joined us. Oh, and Director Boyd. They're carpooling today. Can we redo the roll call, please?
President St. Amand.
Present.
Vice President Griffin.
Here.
Director Boyd.
Here.
Director Kaczynski.
Here.
Director Oratora.
Here. Wonderful, thank you. All right, conflict of interest declaration.
President St. Amand.
None.
Vice President Griffin.
None.
Director Boyd.
None.
Director Kaczynski.
None.
Director Oratora.
None.
And public questions and comments. Do we have anybody online? Jason, no? And there's no one present here in the chambers, so we'll go ahead and move on to item 7, the closed session. So we'll bring the open session to a close at 8:02 a.m. and open the closed session at roughly 8:04. Thank you very much. You're now, mics are now live. The closed session was closed at 8:57 a.m. and we're reopening the open session at 9:04 a.m. Mr. Worth.
Yes, the board met with staff and legal counsel in closed session. No action was taken. That requires disclosure under the Brown Act.
Thank
That's all,
you,
Mr.
sir.
President.
All right, very good. So item 8, board workshop, the Alpha 2025-2026 general fund and capital projects budget. So who wants to lead that off?
I can definitely lead that off. I've got a couple of PowerPoints kind of in the slides are in the same format as when we had the mid-year report. So I'll go through those in just a minute. But I want to start first on the proposed budget, the first sheet in the packet. That kind of gives you the 2025 budget, the year-end estimate, and then the proposed budget. So 2025, our budget predicted or projected a negative 1.3 million net income. We estimate ending the year at 2.9 million positive net income, mostly from the 3 million grant we got from the state for the Northwest Transmission Line. The 2026 budget is projected to end at 592,000 positive net. So a remarkable or markedly better improvement than last year. Feel free to, if you have questions, jump in anytime, but the slides are the kind of a summary of the expenditure budget. So we'll go ahead and go through those. Engineering costs, we had a 2025 budget of 554,000. We're going to end a little above that at 577,000. And next year's budget will be 696,000. A couple of items to note on that for the increase. I believe there's an increase in the GIS. There's some work we're doing. Someone can help me out.
We'll be doing red lines, which will bring the GIS up to speed with all the as-built that we currently have outstanding, as well as integrating with our Springbrook software, which will allow those in the field to see work orders as they happen.
Can I ask a question about the K&S, Krieger and Stewart?
Yes.
50,000 seems not much. I guess I'm assuming that if there's things that he's involved in projects themselves or capital project, that's charged to the capital project.
Those hit the capital project,
So
correct?
this is just general expense money that for consulting.
General, yes.
Okay.
Most of it's for the time he spends participating in board meetings and stuff.
Okay, that's what I need. Thank you.
I would also note that, just to add on, there's been some discussion about our system, when our ops manager talks about having completely up-to-date GIS system with the latest technology where our people in the field can see exactly where everything is. I mean, it speaks of a well-run system that's very well up-to-date and, this is the way water districts are supposed to be run. And these are the kind of technologies water districts are supposed to be using. So criticisms that our system isn't where it needs to be are often unfounded when you look at the high-tech stuff that we're doing every day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the nice part about the implementation with Springbrook and allowing field services to get in on the GIS, if you will, is if they're out in the field, say they're out in China Lake Acres, and they have someone come in for a turn-on, start service in China Lake Acres, it automatically hits their iPad. They're already out there. That's not a new trip we have to do out there. So it allows us to do more with what we have. A little more efficient. You have anything else to add on engineering?
No.
So that's engineering. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. Customer accounts. 516,000 budget in the current year. Next year, we project to be about 566,000. We do have some cost increases in postage. Let's see what else. And really, that's the main, labor's the other driving force on that, so. They have a pretty simple budget. Any
Okay.
questions on that?
Nope, proceed.
Okay. Field services, 570 in the current budget, projecting to be right about at that 570 mark at the end of the year. Next year increasing to 600,000. And most of that is in labor.
Okay. Press on.
All right. Maintenance, construction. So we do have two crews, one doing the maintenance side, one doing the construction. Anything that, when construction works and general type maintenance issues, it's going to be charged here rather than the capital project. We do have a 2025 budget, 1.8 million. We're going to come in about 1.5. Not as much work on the street side, street repairs for work than we had anticipated. Next year being at 1.9 million.
So I see labor is actually dropping.
Yes, because some of that labor is going to the construction side. Which will
Okay,
count
thank
to
you.
the projects.
I've already said that. I appreciate that. Thanks. Any other questions?
Well, I'm sorry, maybe I misreading that. It looks like it looks like it's going up. Yeah, from 1.5 to 1.9.
From the year end. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? Yeah, from the year end. Not the labor, which one? Oh, yeah.
Even from the budget, it's going up.
Now, from the budget's 1.17 million on labor, and it's going down to 1.16
Oh,
million.
I'm sorry, I was looking at total, I apologize.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Okay, so, but it's still going up from the year-end estimate.
It is. Yeah, we do have
And,
rate increase or labor increases due to merit increases and cost of living adjustments.
okay, I guess and I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask, but I guess my thought was that there would be a major part of the labor pulled from the operating budget over to the capital budget. And I looked through what I've got to date, and it's difficult or impossible to see where the labor is being put, the labor costs are being put, i.e. in the, is it in a capital line or is it being put in the operational?
So as I said, a portion is being allocated to capital projects. We anticipate about 200,000 in labor coming out, so that's already taken into account. We don't know that they'll be working on capital projects the whole time, probably not. We just,
Oh, but
during the summertime, they're not doing any construction, they're gonna be doing repairs.
Yeah, understand that. I was thinking that even our four major people, that is the George and you three down there, would all be charging part of your time to the capital management as well. And I guess $200,000 doesn't seem to me to be a whole lot of
No,
money when some of those capital projects were, $1 million. And so you're telling me that it's only 20% labor?
So George and myself, Jason, we're not charged off to capital projects. We're not working on the capital projects.
Well, my feeling is we ought to be charging, part of your time is devoted to tracking capital projects.
Tracking, but we follow what the state does when you do reimbursement grants. Our time is not eligible for being reimbursed by grant revenue for these projects. So we follow that same model. It's not applicable in that sense.
They don't include any supervision at all in the state grants?
A site supervisor, but not for like management, no.
No overhead,
There's very limited overhead.
right?
Well, I guess, Ty has to make out the time cards and do all the other work associated with all the finances. So I guess it's kind of how you define overhead, but he's doing real work. So is Jason when he goes out to look at
Yeah, the
the.
state defines what they think is overhead, and that's what we have to accommodate.
Yeah, okay,
All right.
okay. But I guess even then, I guess I will be asking later on when we go over the capital budget, how much of what projects are actual in-house labor, how many are contract, and I'd like to get a better feel for how much in-house labor is actually being done, because any money we can transfer from the
Well, let's
operating to the capital is a benefit.
All right,
I'll-
let's-
I'll bring that up
let's
later.
bring that up when it's appropriate. Go ahead.
Okay, any more questions on this?
I just want to say this. So, what we've done here with the construction crew is taken people that we have and we've redirected their efforts to different things. There will be things that will not get done, and there will be things that will get done. We have a system for tracking what people do that will correctly allocate funds to the capital budget when needed. And we expect over time that we will be coming back to the board probably in a year saying, maybe we need another person for construction crew to be fully efficient, or maybe this other program that we were doing in the past in maintenance is not getting done completely. We may need to,
Okay,
we call that
George,
broken glass.
let's bring this up when it's more appropriate, and I would prefer it if you didn't say things like, some things will get done and some things will not get done, because that gives ammunition to those who would see us dissolved to make their argument. So be very careful about how you describe that. All of the maintenance that needs to be done will be done. And let's press on.
Okay.
Okay. Water supply. This includes the arsenic component, budget of just over 2 million in 2025. That will be increasing to 2.3 million. A lot of that due to increased utility rates and increased chemical costs. Let me know if there's any questions.
That increase in utilities partly because of our solar system being down?
That is part of it, yeah. You'll see in the capital project, we're allocating the money to repair that, bring that back online. But, yep,
Carry on.
okay. Administrative costs. We're going from 2.75 million to 3.1 million. Some big drivers in there is our insurance, going from 420,000 to 525,000. Even though we don't have wildfires here, I am pretty sure we get to pay for it.
Everybody in the state will at some
Yeah.
way or another.
There's the PERS component that is jumping from 366 to 433. Really, that's a little bit on labor as well, but that's where we stand on the administrative side.
Okay.
Non-op, everything that doesn't fall in the above, except for legal. Legislative, we actually see a decrease. And that is due to, we don't have election costs this year.
Okay.
Miscellaneous, staying about the same. Debt service, a slight decrease, less interest paid. Non-op alternative water supply is staying the same, and conservation staying the same.
All right.
GA fees, 3.11 was the budget. We're coming out about 3.6 due to increased usage. Next year, we anticipate about 3.4 million.
I've got a question on that. The year-end estimate for this year is 3.6 million. Now, based upon the fact that we have turned our pumping around, and we are now pumping more than we are in the past, my feeling is there's no reason that I can see why pumping wouldn't still increase slightly. And if that happens, the replenishment fee is going to increase this year, not decrease next year. That is, it'll increase next year relative to this year. So we're
Okay, so what I do is I look at the last year's usage, a rolling year. and then I take 95% of that
Yeah, but that will
on the
be,
revenue side.
that's a very optimistic, uh,
If we pump more, that means people are using more, that means we are collecting more, even if we do pay more. So,
well, yes, but, well, our income is about $1,000 an acre foot. And our expense is $2,000 an acre foot. So when we assume we're going to pump less, we're basically saying we're being optimistic in terms of our costs as opposed to conservative, where the 95% on water district fees is to make it conservative. And what I'm saying is here, you are underestimating, even if we don't pump an acre foot more next year than we do this year, it's going to be 3 million, not 2.9.
But this is a pass-through.
It's a
Is
pass-through.
it not? So that's my question. How is it not a
This
pass-through?
is a
It's not a
ground,
pass-through.
it's the groundwater authority fee. That's a pass-through fee, Stan.
Well, if indeed we weren't, if you look at the recent costs, the monthly costs, the money that we take in for the GA is less than by about $500,000 what we pay out. Now, there's some problems with the synchronization of the income and the payment, but it was designed to be a pass-through. You're absolutely right. Turns out that because when we did our rate study, we didn't change the 20 units as tier 2, nor did we increase the rate of the rate of tier 2 dollars. We are paying out more than we are getting in.
Mr. President, can I make a comment?
Please.
Yes, by no means are we going to pay the GA any more than we need to based on the pumping requirements. Is that correct?
that
Okay.
is correct.
So the district does not supplement out of our ratepayers' fees that aren't GA, anything being paid to GA. In other words, we don't take money from pumping to pay the
So-
GA fees.
So the GA fees historically come in revenue-wise
Right,
a little bit less than what we pay out.
Right.
Because we anticipate that leaks, flushing and whatnot is going to be borne by the whole customer base.
okay.
So this year, I estimate we'll be about 100,000 short of what we pay the GA.
And that's based on leaks and water losses?
Right,
Okay,
right. And so next year, I have projected out as well as being about 50,000 difference between what we bring in to what we pay out.
because obviously if there's a leak in our system, such as the line that broke,
Right.
there's no way to collect the customer's money for that particular
Right,
leak.
so it's borne by the.
So there is some borne by us of, how much you say roughly?
This year, I estimate being about 100,000 short in
Okay.
revenue for.
Because of the leaks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hate to take more
Right.
than we pay the GA because that's not right.
Right.
So yes, it is a little bit under.
and we don't work that into the cost for the customer. We can't anticipate
Ron,
that kind of thing. All right, thank you.
Ron, you're on the finance committee and we have a finance committee next week. Last month, there was a clear difference of like $500,000 between what we take in and what we pay out. So we need to track that because I don't believe that that discussion that just occurred is accurate based upon actual dollars.
I only want to make one comment on it. I believe that the way we have it set up and not charging the general public an extra charge for if we have a blowout, we seen customers that have small leaks and it ends up costing them $8,000 for a leak at their home.
Right.
We had a huge leak on Brady and there was a line of comments, oh, great, this is going to cost us all money. It's going to cost everybody. But the way we have it set up, it's created a budget, if you will, for that issue, that if there's a main break, we have flushing, we have a fire, that we still get charged the GA because we pumped the water and we used it, no matter where it went. But we can't isolate that to a specific customer. So that's where I could see that I don't want to say, well, let's charge exactly what we use because that's not fair to everybody else. And I want to make sure that we stay fair.
No, I appreciate what you're saying. I don't disagree. What I'm saying is from a budgetary standpoint, if we think that we're only going to be paying out $2.9 million based upon current experience, that's not correct.
I believe it is correct. I think you did a good job on it. Thanks, Ty.
Right, move along.
You want to take this one, Jim? I'm just kidding. So we had a 2025 budget that included a general district as well as adjudication legal, a budget of $1,050,000. We are coming in a little over that at $1,145,000. For next year, with the anticipated legal things going on, we anticipate being about 1.5 million. So we did increase the adjudication for that.
And to be clear, that a lot of this budget will be devoted to trial preparation for phase 2. If that would somehow go away, the budget would go down considerably.
Exactly.
Where are the dollars tracked for paying for expert witnesses, et cetera?
That would be in adjudication legal.
Right, thank you.
Now, Jim, do you really think that going and having a mediation is going to cost less than going to court? I don't see where it's going to change anything.
Theoretically, if you had a mediation and you were able to resolve the safe yield issue through mediation, 100%, it would be much cheaper. I just don't know if you'd ever be able to settle it, but mediation is certainly a much more efficient, cost-effective process to try.
No. Okay, so we get to lower the legal costs. That's great.
I have a family, Stan.
Please, Ty,
All right.
carry on.
Technical consulting. We have a GSP support budget of 150,000. We did go over that a little bit this year, 169,000. We don't believe that'll be the case this next year, so we left it at 150,000. Hydrogeologist, 45,000 budget. We did come over at 56,000. Once again, we don't believe that'll be the case again, so 45,000. The consulting engineering, that was covered within the engineering budget, but we broke it out here, 40,000, 52,000, and 50,000. It goes into GSP support. Okay. And then we have the adjudication technical. This is the CIP side, the groundwater model. We did have a budget of 314,000 to begin this year. Found contracts we were not aware of, but 871,000 to end the year. Next year, 102,000.
Okay.
These are contract projects, things we're not doing in-house in the CIP for this current year. Storage building for the pipe, multiple site roof waterproofing, the arsenic plant effluent tanks, some communication towers, Springer tank power, C-Zone genset, the filtrate tank at arsenic plant 1, and the recycled water project, totaling up to 1.5 million.
I'm sorry. What, could you go back to that? Is this part of this other?
Yes,
sheet of-
these are the CIP projects, yes.
Okay, and what part? I guess I'm trying to correlate what I see on my CIP chart and what I'm seeing here. Is this all non-restricted funding, or is it a mix of restricted and non-restricted?
It's mixed. Yeah, the best way to tell is on that sheet you're holding right there, the ones marked in green.
All of this is on here,
Yes.
but not everything is on here
Right.
is on here.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is the contract side. Okay, next.
Did you mention what the recycled water?
That's just, we put it in there. That's the beginning phases for Krager and Stewart to do their engineering, design, testing the water, that kind of stuff. These projects we're doing in-house. We have the Rademacher, Brady Repair Replace, Hometown Consolidation, C-Zone Interconnect, service lateral replacement that we do every year, meter replacement we do every year, and new service installations that we do every year, for a total of $3 million.
And how? Do you offhand know how much of this in-house work is labor?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
These are the estimates I'm given that include labor.
Okay.
These are some equipment, things we're looking at, chlorine analyzers, mag starters, fire hydrants, an excavator, vac truck, light plant, skid steer with attachments, walk behind saw, radio network upgrade, replacement server, Trimble and network upgrades, totaling about 800,000.
Okay.
These are projects that we couldn't fit within the current budget. We've projected them out at the cost in the year, which would be the Well 17 MCC, which is Master Control, Motor Control Center, PRV at Bowman, I believe, the arsenic plant chemical rooms, Scene Zone booster replacement, Ridgecrest Heights booster, Springer 24-inch, Karen, Auto Crane, parking lot, South Gold Canyon, and La Mirage.
Can you retitle that to
What-
future CIP? For reasons I don't need to,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Sorry, I mislabeled this. This is future CIP.
thank you.
I would also note that, boy, that doesn't, people have thrown some incredibly large numbers out there. This is not an incredibly large number.
Yeah, it's not quite 100 million.
By a factor of 10.
And some of these things are like regular mainline replacement, kind of getting ahead of the game kind of stuff, you know? Like La Mirage area, we know is old, inherited from the Navy. Our hope is to be able to track down some grant money for things like that, so,
Once we get a consolidation done, it opens up
yes.
other pots of money that we can have access to for that. All right,
So.
Yeah.
I appreciate Director Kaczynski's recommendation. You need to be very careful. There are people who focus on everything that is said, and then I will just say they played fast and loose with the figures in order to bolster their position. And their position is hostile to the water district. And we need to be very careful how we phrase these things. They need to be accurate, but not give these people ammunition for their malfeasance. Thank you.
South Gold Canyon. Mhm.
I believe that's all the slides I have. If we want to go back, we can look at that summary page for the proposed budget. It's not in the slides, Lauren. You see, we have revenue, 2024-25 budget of 16.8 million. Anticipate ending the year at 21 million. Next year's proposed budget has a revenue of about 20.5 million. Some of that due to increased rate revenues. We do have a 10% rate increase scheduled for January 1st. And then capital contributions, these would be reimbursements for Rademacher and Hometown. Then we went through the expense side, leaving us with a net revenue over expenditure of 592,000 for 25-26.
Okay.
There's the cash flow pages if we want to look at that. Start with the 24-25 year-end estimate showing our beginning cash balance, 16 million. Cash receipts of 21 million.
I'm sorry, where were you?
The 24-25 general fund year-end estimate, cash flow statement.
Oh, okay, this one. Okay.
This one. Director Boyd, it's a couple more pages. They're down there, right there.
You have to look at the title on the top.
Operating expenses, just under 9 million. Our total non-op, this includes debt service, principal, and capital improvement projects. 16 million, so total expenses 25,593,000 for a net cash flow of a negative 4,500,000, which is pretty much the bond proceeds we have used to do the Northwest transmission line. Ending cash 11,824,000. And you see an unrestricted, undesignated cash balance of 1,130,000. So that's outside of our reserves, if you will. Debt service coverage, we will come in at 1.51, above the 1.2 required. We do have a 6-month of O&M fund reserve target, and we meet it, and we do not meet the capital replacement target. Then if you want to go to the 25-26 cash flow projection, you'll see the beginning cash carried over 11,800,000. Total revenues of 20 million. Operating at 10.9 million. Non-operating expense of 12.7, including the capital improvement projects planned for 2026, which come out to 5.7 million. Net,
Ty,
yeah.
I asked the last time we had a discussion on this, what the unrestricted cash capital was. And at that point in time, I guess you didn't give me an answer. I went through and tried to come up with a number, and I did, but I want to make sure that I'm using the same thing that you are. Can you tell me what the unrestricted capital funding is?
It would be the 5,753,000 less the 3,450,000 in bond proceeds and the grant revenue, which is like 1.1 million.
I'm sorry, you lost me. I've got a specific number by adding that information on the green sheet, the
Yep.
sheet of the CIP. And so I'd like to compare my number with yours.
Let me pull out my calculator here.
Live accounting.
Public math. Yeah.
Like watching grass grow.
All right.
I got about 854,000.
854,000? Is that correct?
That's what I have.
Okay, great, thank you.
Carry on.
So you have a net cash flow of negative 3,168,000. And then if you go through, take out all the reserves, unrestricted, undesignated cash of 1.291 million, which actually is an increase of 160,000 over the previous year. We do maintain our debt service coverage at 1.36. We have our 6-month O&M fund reserve, and we do not meet the capital replacement target once again.
Okay, going back to the net cash flow, the minus 3,168,000,000, can you tell me what the net cash flow for the unrestricted cash is?
No, I didn't pull that out. I just have the net cash flow.
Can you do that for me and get back to me?
If you want the unrestricted undesignated cash flow, it's a plus 160,000.
Or, I want the unrestricted cash flow.
I don't do that. I'm looking at the net cash flow.
Well,
If you pull out the expenses and the bond funding, that'll give you that. But I'm looking at the overall.
yeah, well, my concern is going back to the audit of 24 audit, we lost $1.1 million in FY '24. And so our cash flow in '24 was a minus $1.1 million. And so what I'm concerned about is I want to understand before we pass the budget, what the projected unrestricted cash flow is for 26.
Okay, the audit does not look at the unrestricted versus the restricted cash flow. They're only looking at the cash flow, the net. So even if we spend down and it's a little complicated because you have to add back in the capital assets that you book. So that's not going to be in the budget or this cash flow. That's a statement of net position, which requires much more work and we do once a year for the audit.
Well, I'm assuming that the majority of the net cash flow, which is a minus $3 million, is the restricted.
Yes.
And so our net unrestricted cash flow is positive. Or zero. That is, do we have a balanced budget?
By the definition of a balanced budget, yes. We're meeting all of our needs, yes.
Okay, so,
And I have a positive cash flow of unrestricted funds of $160,000.
okay. So you're saying $160,000
Yes.
is the unrestricted cash flow. Okay, I'm sorry, that was what I asked.
Oh, okay. I thought I answered that earlier.
You did.
Okay.
Oh,
But yeah, statement of net position is another accounting report that's much more in-depth.
okay.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that today.
Yeah, no, we'll let the
Yeah.
budget do that.
All right, next.
The only other is just the CIP projects, and we kind of went over those, so you can look at that other table if you would like, and let me know if you have any questions, or those that actually do those capital projects that are sitting to the left and right of me can talk to them a little more.
Future projects? Yes, Director Kaczynski.
Yeah, I know I asked this question at the Finance Committee meeting. I'll ask it again, since the whole board is here. Do those people sitting to the left and right of you feel pretty confident in this CIP project list for this coming fiscal year, as well as the future requirements?
Confident in what way?
Confident we're going to continue to run a well-operated water district that protects our infrastructure and our customers.
Yes, as we get the Brady line repaired and we assess what Bowman has to offer, I believe we'll have the best system there is.
That's all I'm asking, is that this list contains those projects you feel are necessary.
Yes.
We
Thank
need to
you.
get that Springer pipeline into, be very helpful. And moving
Well-
water to the
Oh,
east.
all right. Ron, are you talking about just 2026?
I know. He's talking about.
About 2026, as well as what they call the future CIPs that we talked about.
He's
Okay.
asking the staff if they have any concerns about this budget.
Yeah, from the capital standpoint.
But you'll see from 2030 out, it's kind of lean.
Yeah.
That's, reserved for projects that come to light that we feel we need to do in the future.
Unknown unknowns.
Right, yeah,
Right.
it's,
Okay, so.
Far into the future.
Our biggest
Oh,
concern right
wait a
now,
minute now, you guys are need to, no, I'm just kidding. I understand.
now capital project wise is the Brady line
Okay,
and making sure that that gets repaired.
okay.
We're, you know, we made the most recent repair. We have the hope that it's gonna make it through the summer where we replace the whole line,
Right.
but you know, we'll see what happens.
And I want to make it clear too, that the Springer line is not because it's in any poor shape. It's because it's a recommendation increase in
The
size.
Springer line will provide a better ability to get water across the valley.
All right. But it's still operable the way it is and continue to be operable
Yes.
and satisfy our needs.
Putting a second line in.
But yeah, that's right. You're putting a second line in, not a replacement. I think you tell me that every time and I forget it every time.
Yes.
You're right. Thank,
Fine.
yeah, thank you.
Right, Director Rotora?
Yeah, I would agree with regard to 2026. I've looked at it very thoroughly. And I think the fact that we have a positive, unrestricted cash flow, we could actually add a little bit more if we wanted to. But my concern would be FY '27, where there is a estimate of $9 million being spent on capital. And quite frankly, this year, we are spending less than $1 million of cash capital, or unrestricted capital, however you want to speak to it. And to go from less than 1 million to 9 million with only 10% increase, that I don't see that possible. I think we're overspending. And I mean, obviously, we've got plenty of time to fix it, but we're not going to spend $9 million.
Well, that does include the 2.7 million for La Mirage. They put that in 2027. We're not sure when that'll happen.
Right, and that would be grant financing.
That'd be grant
of some
financing or
sort.
other money that we'll try to find through state.
Right.
thing, yeah.
And actually, this next fiscal year, it's 5.7. I don't know where you got the 1 million. Isn't it 5.7?
The total
He-
line
he's
is very
taking out
bottom,
The restricted fund.
Oh, okay.
2027.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow all that conversation.
Well, what I'm saying is you were concerned about 2027 being a total of $9.4 million. And I'm pointing out that 2.7 of that is La Mirage mainline replacements, which is a huge project in itself. And there'd have to be either some kind of grant money or bond money or something that would have to be used to fix that issue. So they're just putting it here as like, almost like a placeholder.
Yeah.
Because in fact, you did it 2 years in a row, 2.7, because you're right, it's well over
It's a
5
big
million.
project.
It's a big
yes.
project, yeah.
Well, while we're talking about this, could you explain what the red numbers indicate?
Those were originally scheduled for this year, and we have rescheduled them for next year.
Oh, okay. Well, it seems to me that, I mean, not now, but in the near future, we need to reschedule based upon your numbers, the $9 million number, about $6 million of that.
Yeah, we'll look at it next year and see what we can realistically do, both monetarily wise and workforce wise, staffing, time.
I'm sure the system will dictate exactly what the priority list is.
Yeah, it's a living, breathing document. It could change anytime.
There's always a lot we want to
Right.
do and get done, but realistically can't always get it all done in 1 year, so.
Director, Vice President Griffin.
I would just like to make a comment, and I'm probably gonna offend some of you guys, but I hope not to. Looking at our budget, I think as a board, it's our job to make sure that our staff is provided with the funds that they need, and we set the policies in place and make sure that they have the funds that they need. We have a general manager that this board is responsible for hiring, and working on the other side, I know what it's like to have a board dictate how we do our job as employees. It's not our job as a board to direct the employees or make corrections to anything that they do or say. If we have a question, it's our direction to go to the general manager and let him handle his employees. I think our budget is set up. We are responsible as a board to, you've seen the questions, the technical, the consulting, the legal, those are issues that we need to address and make sure that we can cover as a board and make sure that when they present a budget, they've outlined the projects that they've designed that are necessary, what needs to get done in this district to move on, and we are responsible to make sure those funds are there, not to question every item. So it's frustrating for me to sit here as a board member, being on the other side of the spectrum also, and be questioned about how we're doing, where this is at, where that's at. It's not our job to do that. So that's my comment.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question then. Are you saying that it's our job to figure out how we can get $9.4 million?
It is our job. It is our job. And if it comes down to, we have to direct George to direct staff to apply for grants. If we have a tragedy that comes along, we need to figure out how to fix it. That's our job. If we don't need to, that's our job. That's how I feel. It's our
I
job.
just want to make sure I knew what you were saying, and I don't disagree with you either, by the way. But if that is the case, then we need to have a committee assigned to looking at how we get $9.4 million next year, because it
You have
takes a year.
You have a
Figure
committee
out how to
sitting
get
right
that.
there.
You have staff that handle that.
Yeah.
Well, that George can get the staff to handle that.
Right.
Well, and I believe we have that in place, and that's my point. I'm not trying to point you, Stan, or you, Ron, or anybody directly. I'm just saying, we hired a general manager, we have staff in place that does their job. They come to us and they say, here's what we need, and it's our job to provide it to them. And that's what I feel our role is. So I just want to tell staff, thank you, and I appreciate it. And we have a finance committee.
So
George?
I would like to say thank you to the board. We went through a 218 process this year that we believe put us in a much better financial situation. I will relate a personal experience. I ran a water district that was in very poor condition and had significant problems. I do not see that here. This is a very well-run district. We have very good infrastructure. We have a very good plan moving ahead. We have challenges like any district. But this is a really easy job to be the general manager here. I have such an excellent staff. They do such a great job. We have such a good system, such great support from our legal, our technical, our experts, and I thank the board for giving us the resources, and I believe that we're hitting the mark. You're never going to be perfect, but we are doing outstanding work here. And I want to thank the board for that.
All right, thank you. All right, Ty?
I only wanted to add one thing, because I failed to mention it during the admin budget. We did put some money in there for working with a grant writing firm. So we think that'd be beneficial to help us access other money we currently don't have access to with their expertise.
And as offhand too, is when we were up in Sacramento, I spoke with, speaking with the assembly in Shannon Grove, which I'll talk to later, I'm asking to always be aware of money that might be available to us. I even mentioned, I believe, to Stan Ellis about we're having some repercussions from what I believe is the earthquake, which didn't manifest until well after the money from the state went away. So we need to keep petitioning those people up from our end. If there's money, find it. If there isn't, there's a way you can put in something. So yes, we're always going to be looking for money. And I just want to say this one thing. The responsibility of this board is to make sure that the water district, just like I said before, is in good, sound shape to provide the service, a reliable service to its customers. We depend on the general manager and the staff to make these kind of recommendations. What I'm looking for is the overall health of the district. And I believe that we're in good shape. And I appreciate the work you put on this budget. I like it. And I hope to proceed with it. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, that's all I have on my end.
all right. So what you're looking for today is an approval of the budget. Is that correct?
Well, I'm going to ask Ty, are you looking to, I think what you believe is that further discussion on this we've got everything here and that you want to bring it to the June meeting for final approval?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe next year we'll agendize it different.
Yeah, which we could. I mean, I want to say that I like the idea of this kind of thing for the budget when we're getting near the approval stage.
Right.
It prevents a real long board meeting of that particular
I
night.
concur with Director Kaczynski.
Yeah.
It's better to have this discussion in advance of the meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other questions or comments? All right, very good. So we'll call that portion done. The next regular board meeting is June 9th, 2025. And before I adjourn, I know that people who have been calling into question the legal costs associated with the adjudication. And all I can say about that is that those costs are helping to try to prevent what by a professionally developed estimate would necessitate a doubling or a tripling of the fees of our users and possibly an additional $600 on every property owner's taxes over the course of the year. So it might seem like a great expense, but it is really going to be far cheaper than acquiescing to the groundwater agency's bloody-minded commitment to a 50-mile pipeline. All right, any other questions or comments? Then I will go ahead and call this meeting adjourned. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, this is April Kegwin. Can you hear me?
Yes, April, go ahead, please.
Hi, Ron, I can already see you shaking your head. I just wanted to call and say that I am making a comment on behalf of being a district customer. I heard you throw out a number, 9.4 million. What was that, Ty? I'm sorry, I missed it.
I think that's capital that we have listed for next year.
Okay. Also, were these documents made available online? Because I can't seem to find them anywhere.
I'm not sure if they were in the board packet.
They're not. You have just an agenda online, and there was also just an agenda distributed to your interested parties list.
It'll be posted so everyone can review it before our board meeting.
Okay, perfect. And then I heard was it 1,145,000 for fiscal year 24-25 legal costs?
Yes.
Assuming most of that was the adjudication, I'd say that's a safe assumption.
Take out about 250,000, yeah.
Okay, and then we have another 871,000 for your groundwater management budget for fiscal year 24-25.
I'm not following that.
I was trying to write notes as fast as I could, but I don't have anything to look at.
So total legal you're looking at 24-25?
Yep.
Total legal budget was 1,050,000 and we spent 1,145,000.
Okay, and then your groundwater management plan budget was, I thought you said 871 for the year, end of year total.
No, I have you look at GSA fees?
Nope, your groundwater management plan, isn't that?
I think she's talking about the slide that had the
GSP support?
the GSP support and other things and
Well,
what
that's
came
about-
in as actuals.
Yeah, that's 150,000.
Okay. Yeah, if we could get a copy of this document, that I think would help a little bit more. Like I said, I'm trying to follow along, but it's a little hard to do when you're jumping around from page to page. Also, I just wanted to share the same sentiments as Director Griffin made at our last board meeting, that clearly mediation is the most financially responsible decision to at least approach it, to show good faith to your customers that you are willing to look at every option, as the GA board has expressed to you that we are also willing to mediate as a district paying customer. I hope that you give it an honest shot and you follow what your director shared at our last board meeting. I would really appreciate that. And I think so would your constituents, as this adjudication has just seemingly drained resources from this community with no results yet.
So April, are
Thank
you
you.
speaking as a ratepayer or as the Secretary of the Groundwater Authority?
Well, as I stated when I opened my comment, I'm speaking as a district ratepayer because at the end of the day, I do pay for you all to be sitting in those chairs and I do pay for your staff, and I'm allowed to have an opinion as to where those finances go because they're directly coming out of my bank account.
Well, you're absolutely right to ask those questions, and there's no problem with that. I just wanted to be clear on how you were representing yourself. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, anybody else online? Okay, when we're going to adjourn the meeting at 9:59 a.m. Thank you very much, everyone.